So more Season 1 information for Marvel Rivals has been leaked, and some of it confirms what we talked about in yesterday's video, which we'll go over. But the news that we just received might come as a shock or might upset some of you, so let's get into it. Yesterday, a content schedule for the Season 1 content and trailers that was given to content creators was leaked by a user on Reddit, and people didn't really believe this leak, but after messaging them and finding some validity, I made my video yesterday covering this schedule. And then today, more leakers did release the same information, which definitely gives more credit to yesterday's leak and the information regarding the nerfs and buffs that we talked about, such as Hela and Hawkeye receiving a nerf, and the heroes receiving a buff will be Captain America, Venom, Storm, Wolverine, and Cloak and Dagger. And XOX Leak gave us a little bit more information. He said that the Captain America and Venom buff will actually be movement based, which is interesting because I don't think Captain America needs much of a movement buff. Or maybe he does? Are they going to make him run faster, jump higher? I'm not too sure. But now we know those Vanguards are getting buffed movement-wise. And then the Storm, Wolverine, and Cloak and Dagger buffs are just adjustments according to XOX Leak. So this could be a whole load of things. I know people said they wanted Storm to have a faster fire rate, and people want to see Cloak and Dagger get better movement because it takes so long to get back into the fight after dying. So we'll have to see. But XOX Leak also shared some information that might upset you, saying that we'll be getting 2 heroes at launch and then 2 more heroes during the mid-season of Season 1. This would mean that the Fantastic Four aren't all going to be dropping at the start of Season 1. Now, this is pretty upsetting news for a lot of people, I'm sure. We are going to be getting a trailer for the Fantastic Four tomorrow, so this will hopefully give us some more insight. But the 2 heroes that will be coming first look like they're going to be Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman at the very start of Season 1. This is because on the content schedule, these are the 2 heroes that had specific trailers and skin trailers that we'll be releasing in the next few days. So with Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman being the first 2 heroes of the Fantastic Four to be playable in Season 1, that means we'll be getting Human Torch and The Thing halfway through Season 1 in just over a month's time. And Mr. Fantastic should be a duelist and Invisible Woman a strategist, so those are the 2 roles that we'll be getting at the start of Season 1. And then Human Torch will be another duelist, and The Thing will of course be a Vanguard later on in Season 1. And I know people will definitely be upset about this because we've been so hyped for the Fantastic Four. A lot of people are looking forward to play The Thing and Human Torch, and it looks like you'll have to wait for that. Now, I did also just realize that I've never actually shared Invisible Woman's ability names in a video before. So the names of her abilities were leaked actually quite a while ago, and as you can see, the passive is called Invisible Energy, so her invisibility will be incorporated in the passive. Maybe it's sort of a recharging ability where you'll be able to go invisible for a certain amount of time, and you'll have to manage how often you're going invisible. That would make a lot of sense. Her primary weapon is psionic invisibility. That sounds like a very weird primary fire, but it's probably just some kind of psionic rays or psionic blast that she can shoot. Or maybe since she is a strategist, she actually makes her teammates invisible by shooting them. Okay, that would be pure chaos. Shooting your teammates to make them invisible might just break the game. And then the 3 abilities all say psychic, which is interesting because Invisible Woman isn't actually psychic. This should probably be changed to psionic, not psychic, but hey, I guess they're just code names. Now, ability 1 was called Psychic Strike, so it looks like she will have 1 ability that will aid in damaging. And then we have Psychic Aid, which will be some form of healing, I'd imagine, and then Psychic Vortex, which I think would be a bubble of some kind. And then we have the ultimate Psycho Field. Honestly, I have no idea what this is going to be like, but it is a strategist ult, so it will definitely help support your team. But that is what we know about Invisible Woman at the moment. And as I said, it looks like she'll be dropping at the very start of Season 1 with Mr. Fantastic. Now, going back to the Season 1 leak, XOX Leak also mentioned that the season is going to be called Eternal Night. This makes sense because we're getting the New York map, which is taken over by Dracula, as we've discussed, and that means it will have that red sky and that gloomy look that we saw in the Marvel Rivals cinematic trailer that came out half a year ago. And there was a little bit of a description for Season 1. It said, "For no light shall survive my empire of eternal night. Can Doctor Strange, Human Torch, and the rest of the Fantastic Four defend New York from Dracula?" And the reason that Doctor Strange is quoted here is because, just like you saw in the cinematic trailer, Dracula was attacking the Sanctum Sanctorum, and maybe this will be part of the map, because we know the map for New York will be a hybrid and escort map, and maybe you start by defending the Sanctum Sanctorum from Dracula's wrath. So yeah, that's the whole theming of Season 1, and the Fantastic Four will be drip-fed into the game. I was really expecting all 4 to be released right off the rip, but honestly, I'm personally not that mad about it. I think playing 2 new heroes for half a season is perfectly fine, and it will be nice and refreshing in the mid-season when we get the next 2 heroes. But nothing was mentioned about Blade or Ultron. Remember, Ultron was leaked originally to release in Season 0. He was meant to be at release, but he got delayed, and that's why we thought he was coming in Season 1. But now looking at this schedule, it seems we won't be getting Ultron in Season 1. And the same goes for Blade. There's no new information about Blade coming to the game in Season 1. Now, in my opinion, Blade should definitely be in the game in Season 1 because he makes the most sense to fight Dracula, who is literally the bad guy in Season 1. So maybe, as I have been saying, Blade will actually come to the game at the end of Season 1, ticking over into Season 2, and he'll essentially defeat Dracula or something along those lines. But I know a lot of you will be upset about not having Blade in Season 1. Now, we might get surprised. Who knows? They might do a surprise drop at the beginning of Season 1 and give us Blade, because if you had missed, we did get the description for Blade, and this will be the description that's used on the websites and in-game. And it says, half human and half vampire, Eric Brooks walks between worlds, craving the very life force of his enemies. As night falls, Blade's hunt begins as he wields the swords of Dracula to become the nightmare of any foe who dares to bare their fangs. And if you take a look at his player model that we saw leaked, you can see the swords of Dracula on his back. This does match up with the sword of Dracula from the comics, so it's clear that Blade is directly linked to Dracula. Even in Marvel Rivals, they wouldn't give him the sword of Dracula if it wasn't the case. And with Dracula being the sole focus of the New York map, we are without a doubt getting Blade very soon. But because all of the leaks of the schedule say that there's only 4 heroes in Season 1, it's pretty obvious that is the Fantastic Four, so Blade being at the start of Season 2 does make a lot of sense. I'm going to be honest, I still have hope for him in Season 1, but I have to be honest, based on things that are leaked, it looks like Blade might be cancelled for Season 1. And the same goes for Ultron. I really don't know where he's going to fit in or when they're going to add him to the game. He was meant to drop with the initial release of the game, so maybe they're pushing it back a whole bunch to try and make it fit in with the lore. But so much is all ready to go for Ultron. His abilities we've seen, his model we've seen, his voice lines we know. So it's crazy that there's no sign of him in the Season 1 schedule. But as I always say, these are all based on leaks, so we could be pleasantly surprised when Season 1 drops. We've got trailers coming out next week, and some creators will be able to play in an early access build on January 8th, so that should answer all of our questions. But what do you think of them releasing 2 heroes at the start of Season 1 and 2 more later on? Were you hoping for the whole Fantastic Four crew to drop at the beginning of the season, or do you agree that it's nice to spread them out over the season so things don't get boring and it's something to look forward to? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll keep updating you guys as more information comes out. It's been a roller coaster with these leaks for Season 1, and I'm just here to keep you guys informed.